Well, hello, everybody.
Heyo.
Hi.
Welcome to episode 93 of Sports and Spaghetti, the podcast.
The podcast.
It is the podcast, and it's the best podcast. You know why? Because it's the only podcast that I found on the internet this week when I was kind of scouring for other sports and food podcasts, and there weren't any that combine both.
Nobody does it like us, boys.
So that means you should watch us or listen.
If you like sports or food, because that's the thing. If you're food people, you can watch us. If you're just sports people, you can still watch us.
Right. And starting this week, you will see on the bottom of the timeline, you'll see sections. So if you want to go jump to a section of the podcast, that's all.
This guy.
Yeah.
Yes.
If you like food,
You
the
can
food
just
section.
listen to the food. If you like just sports and you don't like hearing me chew, Mom, you can go right to the sports part. Okay? And that's that. So we have a very special show today. I cooked this week after 2 or 3 weeks off. But before we get to the food, we have to take care of some business first and get to the Jolly Rancher Word of the Week. So you see on the bottom now, it says Jolly Rancher Word of the Week on the timeline because this is where all the students want to go. They're just like, bang. This is what we want.
We need updates. How'd they do last week?
They did well.
Okay.
They did well. It's very consistent.
Okay.
But some of them get it wrong. Some of them get it wrong, and that's okay too because that's good. That's good for business.
That's how you learn.
That's right. This week's Jolly Rancher Word of the Week is defined as something that is a layer of protection, a layer of material that is meant to keep hot things hot and cold things cold.
Ant's gut.
Ant's gut might have this in it. The word starts with A. I'm not giving you that this week. We just learned about it this week. Okay?
I don't know.
That's a Jolly Rancher Word of the Week. Now, before we go any further, I owe you two something.
Oh, hell yeah. Heck yeah. Whatever we're saying.
They say that.
Yes.
Pick a flavor. Any flavor you want.
Blue Raz.
Blue raspberry is the favorite of my students.
Oh, I can put it back.
Grape is my favorite.
Oh, there's grape in
Grape?
there? Whoa,
You guys
whoa,
are
yeah,
sick.
yeah. Put that back. Give me that.
Grape.
Grape. You guys are sick. Actually, Ant,
Artificial.
you are sick.
I am sick. Artificial grape is like not my favorite. We've talked about this.
We have. I do love
Yes.
artificial grape. It's
Me
my
too.
favorite artificial flavor, which like the grape blow pop. Oh my
Oh, my. Dude, that's the best artificial grape in the world.
Oh my god, a purple flurp. Imagine how good that tastes. None of my students know what that is. Imagine how good that probably tasted. Purple flurp. Jimmy Nooch. Anyway,
The nooch.
before we get to this wonderful food, it does have sort of a tie-in with what I'm about to do, and it's that it's really nostalgic. The world lost an amazing man last week, and his name is Cliff Gillman, and he was my very first hockey coach, and I have so many good memories of him. He was 41. And he died suddenly. And it was it's very heartbreaking and crushing, but one of the ways that people remembered him over the weekend was by sharing pictures that they had with Cliff. And I did the same thing. And my quote that I used actually ended up on like the Daily Voice. They like quoted me when I posted the picture of Cliff shooting on me one day during practice. You could see me wearing my number 8 jersey. I don't know what. It took me seeing that picture to remember that I was a number 8 one time. But before we eat this, I wanted to share a story. My best Cliff story ever was this. I was 13. Okay, he was no longer my coach. He had been my coach when I was 10, 11, and maybe 12. And so then I hadn't really talked to him in about a year. He texted my dad kind of out of the blue. I was playing Bantam for the Junior Colonials to travel. And he said to my dad, he was like, "Hey, Jack, is Chris available to play goalie on Long Island?" my team needs a goalie. And so my dad was like, sure, I'll do it. And I was like, sure, I'll do it, of course. But there was a caveat. The caveat is that this was squirt hockey. And the kids were 10.
How old were you?
13.
I hope you shut him out.
And Cliff needed to win the game. And that is why he called me. So we drive over the Throgs Neck Bridge. We're on Long Island. I don't know exactly the town, but I'll never forget the rink. It was like a sports dome kind of looking place. And nice rink from what I remember. And so I get there. And before we get there, Cliff is like, don't talk to anybody. Don't tell them how old you are. Don't tell them where you play. Don't tell them how I know you. You're just some guy on a list. And when he tells you something, you listen. This is the kind of coach he is. He's just that way. And so I said, all right. He's like, trim like the little beard hairs you've got going. And trim a little mustache. And so I get to the game. I get dressed. I get on the ice. And he goes, you can let in a few goals. As long as we score first. This is the kind of guy he is. As long as we score first, you could let in a few. If we start blowing them out, you could let a few in. I was like, all right. He goes, go down and just stay down. Don't move your legs. Just go down and stay on the ice. Don't like kick your legs out. Don't make any flashy saves. Just go down. So I did. I went down and the game rolls on. It's 0-0. This team is good. So if the good 10-year-old team is nothing for a 13-year-old, that's pretty much the starter on this travel team. I split time, but I was the better goalie. You'd ask the other kid, Pat. Anyway, I digress. I'm on the ice. It's the second period. The team scores. My team scores that I'm on. I don't even know who they were. Couldn't tell you a single kid's name. So we're up 1-0. The game rolls into the third period. It gets mid-third period. I'm going down. I'm like, they have wide open nets. I'm just down there waiting for them to score. And they can't. The other team just can't finish because they're 10. There's 4 minutes left. I covered a puck. Cliff calls a timeout. The timeout was solely so he could look me in the eye and said, don't you let the puck in. You're not letting in a puck now. You stop everything. You freeze every puck. We're not losing to this team. I'm not losing to this team. So he's now completely flipped the script. It went from a few goals to do not let a goal in. So there were 40 seconds left. The other team pulled their goalie. And the other team had a legitimate wide open net. Like, I kicked out a puck. I was suddenly acrobatic. I kicked out the puck, and it went right on the tape of this guy with an open net. So I'm like down like this. He whiffs on the shot. I recover. I'm able to cover it, or it goes into the corner. We end up winning 1-0. He was so happy that his team won. He won 1-0. It was his win. And he thanked us and we had a laugh. And it's my best memory of Cliff. It was the most ridiculous situation. My dad is sitting there in the stands just like, dying inside, laughing.
I've met Jack a few times. He was probably like, what did I allow my son to do?
Yeah. What? So then after the game...
There's no way he felt good about it at all.
No, he didn't.
So after the game, parents are coming up to him. He just told me this tonight. Parents are coming up to him like, is that your son in net? He is unbelievable. Where do you guys play? What team does he play for? And he's just like, oh, he just plays locally. That's from Danbury. Yeah.
He's not mischievous, but when he's put under pressure, he can come up with whatever he needs.
Deliver when needed. That's for Cliff. Coach Cliff, the best, first and best coach. Taught me how to be a competitor.
He was always nice to me, so yes.
Always the voice. He's always intense.
Did you play for him, or was it just like a younger brother thing?
Yeah, younger brother.
I would let in a goal, and he'd be like, "Stop the puck, Chris! Stop the puck! Your job is to stop the puck." And I'd be like, "All right, stop it next time," and I'd stop it next time. It was good. I've got more, but I'd be here all night.
This is like my my first baseball coach was always my dad. So the first coach I ever had that wasn't my dad, it was a guy I pretty much grew up with. So it was like I never had that.
Right.
I had never had that outside pressure.
Yeah.
But
it was so good. It was so good to have him as my coach. He was the best. Everybody loved him. I mean, if you've seen the outpouring of support that he's gotten, they've raised over $55,000 for his expenses and support for his family. The goal was like 10,000. They've raised 55,000. Over, I think 300 people have donated.
That's awesome.
Like, he touched a lot of lives. He's only 41. He was everybody's favorite coach. Everybody that had him as a coach loved him. That's good stuff. Gone way too soon.
He was a high school coach too, no?
Yeah, he coached at all kinds of different levels.
I'm seeing Cheshire.
He was in the Yale
Yep.
system. He coached at Danbury when he started his career. I mean, that was 2008. I was 13, and if he's 41, then 08 was.
I see him. He volunteered
17 years ago.
He volunteered for Cheshire Lacrosse too.
Right. He was in his 20s when he was my coach, so he was like your age.
Probably like our age. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He was young. He was a phenomenal mentor and coach. Okay, and in the spirit of nostalgia today, I made Desert Moon Cafe quesadillas for you guys to try.
The tortillas look like just like Desert Moon.
That's because I worked there.
They're probably the same brand, no?
Not even the same brand. It's just the same exact method. How
do you get the brown spots like that?
I will tell you. We've talked about quesadillas. We've talked about Desert Moon on this podcast a little bit before, but this is a tribute and a shout out to all of the ladies that I worked with: Estella, Liliana, Rosa, Bertha, all of them. Wanda, how could I forget Wanda? Alfonso, who was my manager, who is a man.
The GOAT.
The GOAT, right. Alfonso, Jefe. That's my Jefe. I would go run to what is the place for where Restaurant Depot. I would run there for him sometimes when he needed something on a Sunday. It was just a great place. This is a shout out and a tribute to all of them. This is the same way I made it literally thousands of times over my 5+ years working there. So I've just made it the same way every time. The first one over here that I want you guys to try is what I would make for myself if I had a quesadilla. Usually when I would go on break, I would make myself a bowl of yellow rice with chicken and Cholula. That's what I would do. I didn't have any Cholula that was in date at my house, so I don't have it in there. But
doesn't go out of date. You could have used it.
Whatever. It was separated.
Oh.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. Anyway. My quesadilla was always cheese, chicken, and yellow rice. So that is the first one you'll try. And the second one is the Baja quesadilla. I did not have pico de gallo, but it is chicken, cheese, lettuce, and salsa. I know it smells to you just like the Desert Moon quesadillas because they are.
It smells just like it.
The reason why, and you both would know, you both have eaten there before. You worked in the mall, you went there all the time, and I worked at the place. The way you get it brown, you guys can try the whatever one you want. Try them, please, and I'll talk while you guys eat.
Handing me.
Here, try this one with the arroz. The way you get it to be nice and brown without being burnt is you gotta put it on a hot surface. You can't if you put it on. When I made Sabrina's tonight, because that's what she's eating, I don't do brown. I do real, just minimal cook, basically just until the cheese melts. I put it on when the skillet is cold and let it warm up. It will not brown the same way. It will just get hard without the browning. If you put it on a hot flat top or hot skillet, that's how you get brown. And it goes from nothing to burnt in like 30 seconds. So you kind of gotta I have a feel for it because I've made it thousands of these. Thousands. I mean, anywhere from 1 to 200 a shift was I making. So I've made probably 10,000 quesadillas in my life. And I was good at it. And I was always on grill because I liked it. It was fun. I was cooking. And so that's how I can get it like that. That's and I say to Melissa, and I said in the group, it's the thing I make best. It's because it's like the most second nature thing I could possibly cook. And that's that.
Very good.
Thanks.
It was delicious.
It's just a quesadilla. That's the one with rice. You guys tried. I don't know if you want two separate scores, one for the rice, one for the Baja.
So these three are all Baja?
Yes. Okay. So rate this one and then try the Baja.
9.4. I don't like rice.
So I'm going.
It was phenomenal.
I mean, I told Chris, he didn't really know this. Quesadillas are
salsa if you want it.
Quesadillas are my go-to. Always have tortillas in the house. I'll do something like this. I'll do just cheese. Sometimes I'll do like grilled like chicken strips.
Yeah.
I'll do those with some some cheddar cheese. Love a quesadilla. This is a classic. 9.5.
Very good. All right, try the Baja.
What'd you say was in this? Salsa, cheese.
Salsa, cheese, chicken, and lettuce.
It tasted good. For me, it's a texture thing though, and a little too soggy for me.
When it first comes out,
Yeah.
When it first comes out, it's not soggy, but that's not how you ate it. So you judge it how you ate it.
Yes, and I'm not the biggest salsa guy.
Mm-hmm.
I'll give it an 8 on the dot. Yeah, 8 on the dot.
So I agree. I'm not a big salsa on the quesadilla guy. I'm gonna go 8.3.
That is how it's made at the Moon. How it was made at the Moon.
What was yours on that one?
8 on the dot.
I prefer mine anyway, too.
Yes, for sure.
Oh, that's hard for me to do. I don't know. I really like the Baja one. The Baja would be a 9 for me, and mine would be a 9 too. I really like them both, and that's not to gloat or brag about mine at all. I just like them, and they're good.
No, they are very good.
And now by a third 0.03, we have the new highest ranking item in the Chris's quesadilla at a 9.30 even.
Wow, see, between the nachos and this, the Hispanic food is
It's what you do best.
It's what I do best.
It's like my salads and my sandwiches.
Yes, you do the salad sandwich best, and apparently he does pie the best.
Pie, yeah, I forgot.
We'll have to see.
We have to revisit pies.
The pie debacle.
We
Oh,
have to revisit.
how was that not in the award show, or was that the year prior?
No, we just like to erase that from the memory.
I was gonna have a debate, but we'll just move right on.
We can move on to the good, the bad, and the eh. This is in no particular order, which actually started on WXCI Sports Report, which, again, if you'd like to hear Chris and I yap even more, this Monday, 8 to 10.
And I only don't say you because you're not going to be awake.
When is it?
8 to
This
10
Monday,
a.m.
8 to 10, we will be on WXCI's Sports Report for Alumni Weekend. Is Cloyd joining us?
Maybe.
I saw he was on the Facebook post.
Maybe.
But the in no particular order started on WXCI. You hear it on Sports and Spaghetti. You're going to hear it on XCI again. This is Mr. Chris Walker.
Thank you, Anthony. All right. So, I asked the audience, and I didn't ask you guys about the bad. That's why it's not filled in yet, but I've got a humdinger for you. But I'm going to start with Tom Brady. The end of the week is Tom Brady. Okay? What?
Well, I'm just okay.
Tom Brady was far from the best broadcaster at the Super Bowl. I liked him as a quarterback. I know I've said that. He should not be top billing for Fox as the analyst. All he did was talk about himself the whole game. He talked about, well, I this. Well, I this. Who Who cares? You're not playing the game.
My thoughts on this, I think he was trying his best to not nerd out like Romo does.
Be Romo.
But that's the thing is people are starting to hate it where they're like, I don't understand it. And Brady has such an analytical mind. I feel like he'd be like, well, this is what I would do. The safety's sitting here and then this is this and this is that and this. And then people would be completely lost.
But he wasn't even being the everyman. He was talking about his career the whole game.
And every Patriots fan that I know loved it. Said it was a great broadcast.
Yeah, 1 out of 32. One team.
Prominent around here. So I heard a lot of it.
Oh my God, it was awful. It was too much. It was so much nonsense. There was a moment in the fourth quarter when the game was decided that he talked about himself. He made a comment about himself and nobody said anything back to him. Like I forget who spoke next, but whoever spoke next just went into the next play. Like they just started talking about a completely different topic.
Cool, man. Now.
I think it was Kevin.
Yeah.
It must have been Kevin Burkhardt because it just went straight into the next play, which was probably a touchdown or something.
I agree he shouldn't be top billing, but I don't think he was terrible.
Well, that's why he's the
Listen, man, Greg Olson, we know how I like Greg.
Greg should have been the guy.
He's been relegated to Madden. The dude's on the Madden, so sorry.
He will find his way, for sure.
I mean, that just shows that this stuff isn't easy. So when Chris and I do it, it's a lot harder than just talking. And Nikki, it's a lot harder than just talking.
And you get the clout of being the GOAT quarterback, and you automatically jump ahead of
guys that worked hard.
Yeah, guys that
like
worked
Spiro.
really hard. Right? You're absolutely right. You get the name and you get the accolades, and that's what people want. And it's not fair, but that's the way it is, and that's why it's The good of the week is Kevin Durant. He scored his 30. Have you looked at the script yet?
No.
Beautiful.
When do I
I've
ever?
got a trivia question.
He said, when do I?
And you've got a Jolly Rancher waiting for you if you get this right.
Oh, boy.
Double or nothing.
Kevin Durant scored his 30,000th point in the NBA. He is the 8th player in NBA history to score 30,000 points. He did it in his 1,101st game on a free throw. Congratulations to KD. There are only 2 players in NBA history to reach 30,000 points faster. Who are they? One of my students got this.
LeBron.
No.
Michael Jordan.
Yes?
Wilt.
That's correct. Well done.
So let me see if I can flex any basketball knowledge here.
No, you can't.
I think I know. I can name the other 5 people.
Okay, go for it.
So LeBron is 1.
Yes.
Kareem is 2.
Yes.
I think Karl Malone is 3.
Yes.
I don't know the rest of the order. Wilt, obviously.
Yes.
Michael Jordan.
Yes.
KD.
Yes.
That's what, 6?
Yes.
Dirk and Kobe.
Yes, yes.
Bang. And I don't even know basketball.
Well done. Okay, ready? This is good stuff. So, I'm going to put a video up on the screen.
Oh, no.
I'm going to put a video up on the screen. All right? I got to thank my mom for this one. This is a good one. Okay? So, you can't do what this guy did. So, a man in Seattle has been charged for assaulting 2 referees at his kids' the youth hockey game. Okay? Tempers flared. Hey, listen to me as the newscast. Tempers flared as a man knocked down 2 kid referees.
Oh, like they were
The
like
referees were
teenagers.
children.
12 and 14 years old. At
What state?
In
Sorry.
Seattle. look at this loser. Just absolutely destroys them. Okay? You'll see the video.
I'll pull it up with this.
Yes, please.
And so it's disgusting. And so, like I said, he was charged with assault. The man jumped down from the stands in defense of his son. I guess they called a penalty on his son, and he didn't agree with it. I'm sure having been in situations on the ice like this, I'm sure the kids were starting to lose control of the game, right?
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
The refs were probably overwhelmed at this point, and they probably made a call to quell the nonsense, okay?
They're children. I would assume they can't have control of other children.
Right. I'm sure they were trying to quell the garbage that was going on the ice. And the parent thought it was a good idea to get on the bench and knock down the two kids who could have cracked their head open on the ice. Helmet or not. And then, if you look at the video long enough, a player from the team that the dad was on starts going after the other team's players. It was bedlam in Seattle. And so this idiot is exactly what not to do as a hockey parent. And my parents were great examples of what you do as a hockey parent.
Oh, one of the kids is apparently like pretty hurt. They've released a second angle. Sir, there's a second angle of him, and he's like grabbing and like writhing, and I guess he hurt his back because he can't even stand up.
Oh.
Yeah, he's injured. He's down. He's hurt. He's literally hurt. A player is helping him. Like, there's people trying to help this poor kid.
Pain to his rear right hip and rear neck, which felt stiff.
That is pathetic. Absolutely pathetic behavior by an adult. You are the bad of the week, you idiot. His identity has not been released. But what an idiot. And there you go. There's your in no particular
That's insane.
order. INPO. Disgusting behavior.
I mean, I was expecting something else, but
What were you expecting?
Philly.
Well, Philadelphia could get an honorable mention, and since you didn't look at the script, you clown, I'm not going to talk about the FA Cup not using VAR, which I think is stupid. But anyway, yes. Did you happen to see the footage, the scenes in Philadelphia after the Super Bowl?
Oh, like just the riots in general?
Yes.
Yeah,
the town was
riots.
set ablaze.
They set
Yeah.
the town on fire, and they were knocking down traffic lights, and they were doing Philly things, and they won. They won the game. So in Vancouver in 2011, when the Canucks lost the Stanley Cup final to the Bruins, I met Tim Thomas that summer. He was the Bruins goalie.
Well, that's
kinda
fine and
cool,
well.
right?
No, that's fine and well.
I got to ask him a question, too, at his camp. Anyway, it was awesome. So, nonetheless, Vancouver was set ablaze after they lost. Philadelphia won, and they set the city on fire. What a scumbag franchise, and, a scumbag fan base.
I mean, you kind of see that.
Wasserman!
You see that all over the place, though.
I hope he's happy. I hope Was is happy.
Yeah, I was gonna say it should be a bad because it's terrible, but don't single out Philly because UConn does it every time they win a national championship.
I've seen firsthand videos of it happening.
Yes.
We need to stop destroying places when we win
I
or
agree.
lose a sporting event.
Yeah. I would have to agree.
We need to stop destroying places.
I mean, sometimes you just get so happy you want to rip down a stop sign.
Or take the goalposts out of the field.
That's cool.
That's college, though.
Carrying it
That's
down, throwing it in the nearest body of water. I'm with it.
That's college.
I'm with it.
Those are kids. These are adults. You know what I mean? There's a difference. There's a difference. We shouldn't be ripping down traffic signs.
No, especially when you have to go to work the next day.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's just something really low life about that. Really scum.
We should move the Super Bowl to Saturday.
I'm just a fan of I like the whole extra week. Everybody gets their own bye week in the middle of the week or the middle of the season. And then the Super Bowl is on President's Day weekend, so most people have Monday off.
I don't know when President's Day weekend is.
It is
this weekend.
Very well. Thought it was Valentine's Day.
That's also this
is-
weekend.
It is Friday.
Awesome.
Yes.
Perfect. Now I know.
That's all wrapped up in
You know,
one
I
big
didn't know when
festivity.
Memorial Day was. Mom yelled at me. I had no idea. Like,
What?
Why would I know that? Like, honestly,
When did you think it was?
I don't know. I guess June. I'm not gonna lie.
Well, you're 1 month off. Flag Day's in June.
I was between April, May, and June.
That's a 40% chance or 20% chance
33. I was
33.
leaning June though.
out of all 12 months.
Yeah.
3 out of 12.
It's 25%.
Yeah. Is that not what I said? No, I said 20.
Yeah.
I was leaning June. I was wrong.
You were. It's the last weekend of May.
Correct. I've learned that now.
Yeah. It's okay. Oh, man. What are you going to school for? Radiology?
Why do I have to know when Memorial Day is?
That's what I'm saying. All right. So, before we talk about the NHL Four Nations, let's talk about the bigger thing. I put it after the Four Nations, but let's talk about the game. The game happened, and Philly thumped the Chiefs.
It was so nice to see.
Satisfaction abound. And I had a lot of friends. I know we all have a lot of friends that like both teams, I'm sure. But it was fun. It was fun to watch.
Clapped.
And I think I said this to my other group chat. I think the thing about this Super Bowl is both of these teams should be, based on their rosters and how their rosters is going to change the next year, both of these teams should be getting significantly worse. So it's going to be another, hopefully, next season is going to be two different teams. And the year after that is going to be two different teams.
ESPN put the Chiefs at #1 in the preseason power rankings.
I don't think they will have a successful season.
That's all glaze.
Yeah, that's all glaze.
Absolutely all glaze.
I don't think they're going to be great next
Because you have to
But
think.
the Eagles at 4th.
I mean, yeah, you have Mahomes, but if you're the Chiefs, you're losing Rashee Rice. You're losing Juju. Travis Kelce's probably going to retire. You can't pay Trey Smith, so your offensive line that was really bad just got worse because your second best lineman's gone.
And to your credit, you said all season that the offensive line of this team was not good.
Mm-hmm.
And it was exposed in a big way on Sunday.
Well, I mean, you'll hear about it a little later, but so I'll give you the stats now. Patrick Mahomes was sacked 6 times, which is the most for a single game in his career. He was pressured 16 times. Philly did not blitz 1 time.
I saw that.
Every single play was a 4-man rush, and they generated 16 pressures and 6 quarterback sacks. So when I talk football with everybody that I work with, and I have one guy, he's an Eagles fan, and I asked him, I'm like, what do you think the key to the game is? Just because I want to gauge, see how much ball he knows.
Before or after?
Before. And he's like, we got to blitz Mahomes. And I was like, no, you don't. That's how he wins. Buffalo blitzed him, and he tore Buffalo up.
Yep.
Houston blitzed him, and he tears Houston up. You have to generate pressure with the front four. I think Philly's the only team that could do it, and look what happened.
They did. No, like I said, to your credit, they just exposed the I mean, there's an Eagles fan that I work with. And she's a fan. She's not technically football. Like she doesn't know the technicalities
It's like a Go
of
Birds
football.
type thing.
Right, but a big fan.
Yeah.
Watches all the games, just not like the plays, the designs and stuff to your level. But what she even noticed was she was like, they're just getting right to the quarterback. Where's his help? Like when people who don't watch in a positional stand, like from that standpoint that we watch from,
And they notice it.
and they notice it, it's you know something's wrong. I mean, Melissa was watching. They were like, "Get him again, get him again." It was. I mean, it was refreshing. It was refreshing because this team has won and they've won and they won and the only people that like winning all the time, like year after year, is that team. Everybody else wants someone else to win.
There's no debate on who the greatest coach and the greatest quarterback of all time is.
And tight end.
Brady has never been blown out in the Super Bowls. Mahomes' 2 Super Bowl losses are a combined minus 40.
Right.
And
He's
this
been
last
blown
one
out.
shouldn't have been. It was all garbage time.
It should have been
Everything past
It should have been a
6.
minus 50, 60 something.
Everyone past 6, I've told everybody that said they can't I hate that when they say, well, they started coming back at the end. No, they didn't.
Kenny Pickett was in.
They
Come on.
didn't start coming back.
Sirianni got the Gatorade bath with like 13 minutes left in the game.
Yeah.
dude.
I think it was like 4, but still.
Same.
The Chiefs scored after the Gatorade bath. They weren't worried.
They scored twice after the Gatorade
Yeah.
bath.
They weren't worried. There was no worry. Even after the second, they could have scored another 2 and it wouldn't have been a worry. There wasn't enough time.
So when I said Philly by 4, I actually meant 4 touchdowns.
I mean,
Very well, very well.
What a drubbing. It was a lot of fun. It was fun to watch. It was a lot of fun also to, this is me, the dad talking. It was really fun to watch Sirianni look for his kids during the interview.
That was cool.
And he was just like, I just want my kids. I just want my kids. And and his older son was crying, and it was just a cool moment with his kids. I loved watching that.
So before we turn and we start talking about the 4 nations, which is about country rather than, it's the name and the flag on the front rather than the name on the back.
Yep.
I have a quote that I'm going to pull up from Eagles wide receiver A.J. Brown. Now, there's been some things, I don't know if you've seen this. There's been some things where they're saying A.J. Brown's not a team player and it's this and that and blah, 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 blah. Have you seen them? Have you seen this post?
Maybe.
Okay, so now I want your thoughts on this as people that have played team sports. Okay, this is on Instagram, AJ Brown 1K _ always open. He said, quote, "After a few days, I've had time to reflect on being a champion. I tried to feel how everyone made it seem to be a champion, and unfortunately it was short-lived. 2 days to be exact, LOL. I've never been a champion at the highest level before, but I thought my hard work would be justified by winning it all. It wasn't. My thrill for this game comes when I dominate. It's the hunt that does it for me. It's when the DB drops his head in surrender because he can't F with me. The intense battles, early mornings, late night sacrifices. I love putting smiles on people's faces. Don't get me wrong, but it just wasn't what I thought it would be. It's the journey that I love the most, back to work." Do you see that as somebody that works hard, or do you see that as a me-first person that is an absolute cancer to a locker room?
I think that's a cancer to the locker room. That's pretty awful.
I was shocked reading that.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie.
Why are you coming at see? I tell my students all the time, what you say will be scrutinized by everybody. Why he knew coming out in public and saying this is going to be taken a certain way because it was meant a certain way.
I get it.
How? What do you mean though? Like how?
Like, I actually understand what he's saying. I don't know. And the 2-3 championships I've won over my life, which obviously isn't at a high level, but I can see how if you didn't contribute a lot, it can feel not as special as you thought it would be to win a championship.
But the thing is, he's the number 1 receiver on this team.
Yeah, but he had a somewhat rough year. He didn't have a great year, and everyone
he did have a touchdown.
Yes,
and 43
yes.
yards in the Super Bowl.
Yes, and everyone
Just not a bad game.
Yeah, but by his standards, it is. I understand.
Yeah, but he didn't need to be perfect. They destroyed them.
And everyone hypes up I feel like winning a championship, which obviously is a big deal. But I don't know. I feel like I could see how it would be less.
Still had over 1,000 yards this season. I mean, it wasn't a bad season.
And it's that's one of those things where it's you get these older players like a Jimmy Butler getting traded to Golden State, where they're just going for they just want to win a ring. So now it's what really matters. do championships really matter that much to the players? Because we're seeing elite guys like A.J. Brown say, no, I liked it for 2 days, but I like being the best on the field. I like when people look at me. I like getting the ball. I like the stats.
I mean, I feel like he said it terribly, but you can't sit here and tell me that there haven't been games that you've won where you did nothing in them. And, like, you can't tell me that game where you really did, like, amazing in. And even though you lost, that didn't feel better.
I agree with that as well. Absolutely agree with that. But on a bigger stage, right, it's
I don't know how it would feel on that stage. Like,
Yeah.
And the thing about it for me is every championship I've won, whether it was men's league or in-house or whatever, not to sound a certain way at all, but it pretty much wouldn't have happened if I wasn't on the team. And it's just because on my men's league team, I was the hockey player, and they all were learning how to play.
Yeah, but
yada, yada.
when you guys were playing in, like, the baby league for a little bit, and you probably faced, like, 10 shots, if that probably felt trash, didn't it? Like, you definitely weren't hyped about winning those games.
I still was.
Yeah, but it's not the same, though, is it?
I will tell you something, though, that happened in a loss that's better than all of that combined. And it's when I was put in for the last 10 or so minutes of my entire senior class's high school career. And my goalie counterpart, who was the starter and maybe shouldn't have been the starter at that time. I mean, you could ask my coach. He was pulled, and his parents went on a tirade after the game. But I played like the last 10 minutes of his career, which was also mine, and we lost the game like 6-1. That was like the best memory I ever had because it was at Yale. It was at the Whale. There were like 3,000 people there.
That's awesome.
It was like I was in the game. I didn't care what happened. It was 1-1 after I got in. Like, we scored one and they scored one. So, like, it was, I don't know. It was cool. So, in a loss, that meant more than any championship I've ever won.
Well, it's like, for me, if I'm in the NFL, like, my goal to go to the NFL is not to be, I don't want to be, like, Myles Garrett just requested a trade. He said, listen, Cleveland, I love you guys. My goal wasn't to go from Cleveland to Canton. I want to win a Super Bowl. Like, it's just the top thing, especially for team sports like football. I think it's tough. And now, moving on to the next topic, I think pretty nicely, we have the Four Nations, the 2025 Four Nations face-off, where NHL players are taking time out of their season where this is what they do for a living, this is how they make their money, to go represent the country that they're playing from. So, Chris, if you want to talk a little bit about that, I think that would be pretty nice.
I think that with the Four Nations, to kind of go with what we were saying with guys being unhappy, is before I even get into the teams, there was another anonymous poll by The Athletic. I love these anonymous polls. And one of the players, multiple players actually, was like, why is Russia not in this? Why are they still not being allowed into this? This is not the Olympics. The players didn't do anything wrong. Why? One of them even went as far as saying that this is a corrupt tournament because Russia is not invited. And so it makes you think. It makes you wonder, like, is there any merit to that? Is that true? Like,
are you really beating the best of the best because Russia's not in it? Apparently they breed hockey players and Dagestani fighters. Like, that's it.
That's it. But, you're absolutely right. I think those players are absolutely right when they're like, what is going on? But the four teams in it, Sweden, Canada, Finland, and the United States, I just wanted to talk a little bit about the makeup of these teams. So, keeping it local with our podcast, Philip Gustafsson is the starting goalie for the Wild, which is Ant's team. And Philip Gustafsson is also the starting goalie for Sweden in the Four Nations Cup. His team is losing 3-1 after the second right now. Not that it matters. However, if he's the guy and gets no break, what does that do for the rest of his regular season with the Wild?
I think it scares me because the backup has been Flower. If you asked me this question a couple weeks ago, I'd be a little more concerned because Gus was on a 4-game losing streak where he gave up. One was a no decision. He gave up 4. He gave up 6 in a loss, 4 in a loss, 5 in a loss, 4 in a loss. So he was doing really badly. And then he turned it around in the last 5, 2 in a win, 1 in a win, 6 in a loss to Ottawa, 1 in a win versus the Hurricanes, and 3 against the Islanders. I think that this is not a good thing.
He's already played 37 games this season.
Which is the most. I think he's already a game away from the most. Or no, I'm sorry, 40-something
45 is the most, and he played that last year. He will eclipse that easily this season. And he had a down year last year as well.
I don't know. I think this had to have been a conversation with Gus and Flower and the coach and the GM, because this is supposed to be like the All-Star break, no?
Yes.
Like in lieu of the All-Star break, This is what they're doing, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
And I love it because the All-Star break has become a sham. So this is much better.
Oh, absolutely. I just think that the All-Star break is for guys to get breaks, and Gus is going out there, and it depends on how much you love your country. I mean, if you're one of these people where it's like, hey, I'm going to play harder for my country than for my NHL team, which it happens, then that could be a problem down the road because, again, he's going to be gassed. He's going to go out and try to play the best, and he's going to not play well for Minnesota.
You don't want to let your country down.
No, you absolutely not. Especially for him to be selected. I mean, he was saying how huge of an honor it was.
I mean, he's playing over Linus Ullmark, who won the Vezina, over everybody, and the names that he's playing with. I mean, he's playing against Jordan Binnington, who that in itself is a testament to how much of a resurgence Binner has had, because for Binnington to be starting for Team Canada, he's starting over guys like Aiden Hill, who's a Stanley Cup champion. I mean, Binnington is in his own right as well in 2019. But still, for Binnington to be the guy, that says a lot.
Now, Chris, another question for you. As a goalie, we've seen goalies be considered head cases before. We know this. It's no secret. Is going up against an absolute super team in games that do matter, does that just kill your confidence? Because I'm just reading on what happened. So Nathan McKinnon gets the scoring started off of Sidney Crosby's slick backhand, and then it's like, oh, Marchand scored, and this, it's just absolute superstars are just picking you apart.
Marner, Braden Point.
That has to not feel good.
It doesn't surprise me that Canada is up big on Sweden. I'll say that. It's going to be really hard for anybody to beat Canada. Like you said, this is not an all-star team. It's a super team.
Oh, yeah.
It is literally the best of the best.
I mean, look at, there's nothing Gus could have done about this goal.
We'll throw up a highlight. No. I mean, look at, first of all, look at the puck movement. Dude, Sweden is running around. You got McDavid here. Backhand by Crosby.
There's no nothing chance Gus could have done there.
Less than a minute into the game, and that's
what
happens.
They were on a power play too.
So it's just a rough. It's tough sledding, as they say.
I hope this doesn't absolutely kill his confidence, because he is a very, very streaky player, as we've seen before, and I feel like confidence is a big thing with Gus.
And we've also seen guys in other sports, and we've seen in hockey, famously Rick DiPietro injure himself in the All-Star game while he was commentating on the ice. Injured himself.
That was after the big one, though, wasn't it?
No, that was the first.
Oh.
That was his All-Star year. Yeah. So it happens, and we've seen in baseball guys go cold after the Derby. So these kind of things could be a problem. And now looking at the other two teams, you got Connor Hellebuck, who, it's just a different breed right there. He's going to win the Vezina again, I think. He's 34 wins already. That's disgusting.
Well, it's like you see the difference, and I put a futures bet, sidebar. I put a futures bet that Gus wins the Vezina. Like, I just had money, I threw it on it. And he's in, like, I think he has, like, the third or fourth best odds in the NHL. And I'm like, he's not even close to Elliot Buck. And he's going to be on the short list, which is insane.
Right. He's got good numbers. Ottinger has good numbers. He's also on USA's roster. But then you go to Finland, and it's Jussi Saros, who's got good numbers despite 11, 23, and 6 record. And Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen, again, who's 18, 16, and 4.
Say it right.
Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen.
Thank you.
And but I like what you said about head cases because there's no bigger one than Hellebuck. But he's kind of figured it out.
Yeah, I mean, that leads into your next question. I think USA wins it.
Yes, I was just going to say, who do you think wins?
Canada.
You going Canada?
Canada.
I don't know. I think there's just something about the USA. I think
Grandpa Brock.
Yeah, that's
terrible.
That's an insane picture.
Terrible.
Regardless, I mean, USA, I think they're going to hop on old 46's back and do it for the 52nd state.
And they're also doing it for Johnny Gaudreau. They said they're playing for him and his brother.
Big Eagles fans?
Yes, right, from that area, from Jersey. And so that's the way it goes. That's how it goes on Sports and Spag. Grammys Grinders of the Week. We have made it to Grammys Grinders of the Week. Who would like to go first?
I have 2.
Okay.
I'll go first. My first one is Liam McNeely of the UConn men's basketball team. He put up 38 points out of a total 70 that UConn scored. If you're counting, that's over half. And that was against ranked Creighton. Creighton.
Creighton, I've got a problem with that school. I'm sorry to cut you off. You can finish.
Against ranked Creighton. 38.
Can I go before you do your second one? When I worked at ESPN, Creighton never sent their live feeds to update for college football. They were the only major Division I school not to do it. And it was like purely out of spite or something, and I hate them for that. So anyway.
And my second Grammys Grinder, this was my main one, by the way. And it's funny. So it is A.J. Brown. and this was actually legitimately who I picked out and as my main one for this week because he is the definition of a grinder. Because let me tell you, a few years ago, he had an interview and he was very outspoken about men's mental health. And he had an interview where he was talking about it, and he made a reporter cry when she was asking him questions about it. And she asked, "Why did you share that with us?" And he said, "A year ago, I was going to take my life." And he went from that to now a Super Bowl champion. And if that's not a grinder, I don't know what it is.
Good
regardless
stuff.
of his quote.
Very good stuff. I like it, Nick.
Thank you.
That is a very good one.
Thank you.
You want me to take it? I'll do it.
Yes, Coach Cliff is going into the Grammys Grinder Hall of Fame.
Yes.
That is my 2025 inductee. I want to get that out there. We talked about him earlier, but he is going into the Hall of Fame. He meant a lot to me. And in memoriam, he is going posthumously into the Hall of Fame. Almost like Benny did. Twice.
Benny's the only 2-time member of the Grammys Grinder
the
Hall of Fame.
repeat member. But my original Grammys Grinder is Ryan Hardy. Not my son. Not my son Hardy. But Ryan Hardy of Plymouth Argyle. Of the last place team in the championship, who scored the only goal in the team's 1-0 win against Liverpool in the FA Cup. Liverpool was playing their seconds and thirds. I don't get on me about that. I don't care. Okay? A win against Liverpool is a win against Liverpool. So Hardy said after the game, it's one I'll never let go of. I mean, how could you? You beat Liverpool in the 4th round of the FA Cup. Liverpool made it as far as Leicester did in the FA Cup, the 4th round. Well done. He has 3 goals on the season in Championship League play. They're going to get relegated most likely to League One. And so they had a shining moment that could change their whole season around. Wins like that in cup play could do that. Ryan Hardy, Grammy's Grinder of the Week.
Plymouth Argyle sounds like a mid 90s sedan.
That's true.
Doesn't
Are you
it?
driving the Plymouth Argyle today? Yeah, I got the Plymouth
I'm
Argyle.
taking the Argyle.
All right.
I like it.
My Grammys Grinder is a combination of a few different people, but I will lump them in together. My Grammys Grinder is the Eagles' defensive line. We talked about them earlier. They sacked Patrick Mahomes 6 times, most in a single game in his career, and generated 16 pressures without blitzing 1 time. 2 main guys were Josh Sweat and Milton Williams. Both of them are upcoming free agents. They played themselves into big contracts. And Jalix Hunt and Jordan Davis proved Philly can give them the reins. They can let the older guys go. It's time to change the guard. Eagles D-line, Grammys Grinders of the Week.
Very good, Anthony. Very good, Nick. Before we go today, we have a tech guy at work. I had to get this in there for my team at work. We have a tech guy at work, and he's from the Ukraine, and he's a cool guy, Mr. Y, and his voice is really cool, and he visited with another teacher, coworker of mine today, and she came into my room laughing, and she was like, he was talking to me, and literally all I could do was think of you, imitating his voice, and so
think
I
of you?
started laughing. Chris, why doesn't it work? This is not working. Did you pour water on it? No. Then why doesn't the keyboard work? It's with the wide eyes. He's a good dude, Mr. Y, good dude, and a good gardener as well. Yes.
Why? What's with your necklace?
Oh my gosh!
Oh, yeah.
I almost forgot. My necklace is a gift from my daughter Sabrina. She went digging for gems with her TT today, and made me a necklace with tiger eye.
That's awesome.
That is adorable.
This is from Sabrina.
I see. I didn't see anything in it, so it literally looked like a shaker ball.
No.
Now I can see
Yes.
that. Yeah, I just didn't see it when you were standing.
I'm not that much of
A gym bro.
yeah. She also made one for Melissa and herself and TT. Very cute, a very fun activity, and she wanted to make one for me and for Melissa. I love her.
I'm gonna have to have a word with her.
You were not home.
Well, that's too bad. I should have.
She also wanted to make Harden one, but you know how that goes.
He's a baby.
He is a baby. Thank you for watching and listening to Sports and Spaghetti. Follow us on Instagram. Nope. Follow us on TikTok at Sports and Spag Pod and on Instagram at Sports and Spaghetti Pod. Yes. And also, wow, do this.
Bye. Don't forget to subscribe. See you next video.
Thank you, Sabrina. We just talked about you. You get a lot of airtime today. Anthony, take us away.
We'll get out of it quick. That's Nikki. That's Chris. I'm sick. I'm also Ant. We did have a plate of quesadillas. We no longer have them. They were delicious. Thank you, Chris. As always, take care of your loved ones. Make sure you put your tortillas on a hot surface to get them nice and brown. And as always, stay full.